Just kidding. I was kidding. Okay. Hi, we're here. We're live. So we all know who I am because this is my channel, but I have a special guest. Hello, special guest. Who are you?
Hello. Hi everyone. My name's Brandon. I'm Kayla's brother. Um, I don't read too much, but we decided to read a book together for Pride. I don't know. I'm not the host. I shouldn't be talking about that.
No. Do what you
Um,
want.
but I do. So I have a podcast with my ex coworker Sydney called the Parish Parent Posse.
It's
So I
linked in
make
the.
it. Excuse me.
I already linked it in the description.
Oh, period. Well, I'm just saying that because I may get bossy because I like am the so we like have our own jobs on there, right? So I'm like guest relations and like control the pace of the episode and she does
Mm-hmm.
the more technical stuff. So a lot of times when there's like a lag in the conversation, I have to pull it back up to keep the pace going. So there may be times where we're like and I'm like, "Oh, so tell me about this." But I need to not do that because it's not my channel, it's your channel.
No, but the other thing is, I'm very good at not remembering things and not saying things in the proper time frame. So if you do become bossy, I'm kind of into it because I kind of let everybody else do that for me when I need to.
Yeah,
Because
Reese.
my brain, what? Oh, I'm mad. I was like, who? Ruby's here though. Hi,
Hi, Ruby.
Ruby. Yeah. So I don't know. How did you like it? What did you rate this book? Do we actually, Brandon, tell me what this book is about first.
Um, so everyone, we read Detransition Baby by Torrey Peters. Um, it is an adult fiction novel about three women's um, three women's life and their progression through trying to have a baby, or I guess not even trying to have a baby, just like motherhood or the thought of motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's one cis woman whose name is,
Katrina.
and then trans woman named,
Reese.
and then a formerly trans woman who's detransitioned, whose name is,
Ames.
but also,
Amy.
and also
I don't really want to.
James.
I know, but I was like, do I want to dead name this character?
Yeah,
James.
it was in the book.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to call
Ames.
Ames him, current pronouns him, his dead name, period.
Yeah. Period.
Um, I'll be honest, this was a tough read because my brain is so smooth and
No way.
there are no winkles on this brain. And I had to like force myself to chug through it because like the density of it was a little bit more than I expected from a gay book because I'm
Mm-hmm.
used to reading like borderline gay smut or like where they're like we were in the barn and things got crazy. I don't know. That doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
I don't think I ever told you this, but I read this series in I literally was in high school, and I need to send them to you because it is full on gay smut, like, like the gayest of gay smut. It was great.
Like Two Gentlemen?
Yeah.
Oh, period.
Period. You can get it at
Hi, hey, hey, Bailey.
someone's gonna keep this live on track because it's never me. Ruby's book club read this, but she like last year, but she did not read it.
What a loser. Why did you... Just kidding.
This is Adriana. Brandon, this is Adriana.
It's a hard read, honestly. If it wasn't Guani over gay smut, if I hadn't promised to read this with you and I'd bought this, I don't know if I would have finished it, honestly.
Yeah.
Not that it's a bad book. It was actually a pretty entertaining book, and I got maybe not a lot out of it, but I got some good stuff out of it. But whew, my brain is too smooth.
Too smooth, no winkles.
No winkles.
Okay, so what did you rate this book out of 5?
I ended up rating it a 4 out of 5, just because I was like, if this was the book that I was into, like I was this level of reader that I was into adult fiction like this, I'd pop off. I'd want to read it. And I would recommend it to other people. I have recommended it to other people.
Oh, awesome.
But I can't in my heart give it a 5 because it was not a 5 in for me.
Yeah.
Um my so for everybody listening, I am a crowned drag performer. And by that I mean I did it twice. I've done it twice, and I
But
won a
you won a
competition.
crown.
I did win a crown. And so I have some people around me that are trans, identify as trans women, and one of them, she does my makeup for these performances because I have no skills with makeup.
Oh, I didn't know she was trans.
Teresa?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Um, the makeup artist that does my face, her name's Teresa. She's a drag performer slash makeup artist. She's kind of transitioning out of drag into just doing makeup. She does a really good job, and we were talking about it. And I recommended it to her, but she was not really a reader either. So I was like, if you're not really a reader, you may not love it because it's kind of a tough read. I did recommend it to her, and I think she was interested. And I recommended it to someone else. I recommended it to Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have another trans friend named Dallas, and she also doesn't read. But I told her to let me know if she wanted it because I would let her borrow it.
Hmm. I think that would be interesting for both of them to read.
Kayla, what do you think about the book? What was your vibe?
So I really went in at first and I was like, I feel like I'm gonna like this, but I don't know. And so as I was reading the book, I was so into it, but it was like you said, it was a tough read. So it took me a minute to really like kind of get into it. But I'm very character driven, and I think the like interactions between the characters really like made me want to keep reading. But I did feel like there were parts of it that I just wanted I wanted more. I wanted more like deep dive into the characters. I felt like there was parts where the story was like talking about the same things over and over and over again, and I wanted like a little bit more of that. So I actually also gave this book 4 stars, and I think if it had just given me just a little bit more, it would have been a 5-star read for me.
Did you have to read Les Mis in school?
I did not.
So in 10th grade, I went from regular English in ninth grade to pre-AP English in 10th grade because I thought I was the shit. And one of the required reading for the summer was Les Mis. And I got a quarter of the way through before I was like, this is not for me. The book is like this book is like 340 pages. Um, and the issue I had with Les Mis is that I felt like he was always talking in circles when he was like getting to topics. So it'd
Mm-hmm.
be like the character walks down the hallway and the hallway is so dark and the lights in the hallway and the hallway and the hallway and the hallway and then the hallway, and then I forget what was actually happening because we've been talking about this hallway for so long. Um yeah, summer reading Les Mis. What the hell? I read none of it. I read a quarter of it and then gave up. And that was almost the issue I had with this book, is because I was like, okay, I understand what you're doing, and you're like giving me some background, you're giving me more information about this character, but you're not moving the story.
Mm-hmm.
And there was not enough, because when I think about what uh, my English teacher, Miss Henry, taught me about like
I was like trying to
in
get through
10th grade,
school.
um, about like the build up, the climax, the normal progression of a book. This book was such a slow build
Mm-hmm.
that I think I missed the climax and then ended the book.
Yeah. I I can agree because I feel like there wasn't a like really hard climax. So that's why it was easy to not figure out because you're and this is something similar to because this is literary fiction technically, but not technically. And this is a problem I had with Normal People by Sally Rooney because it was literally just like it felt like you were reading just like a character study. Like and so there was stuff going on constantly, but there was never like a high peak that led to the end.
Yeah. And it was interesting because, like, I personally, I'm gay. I'm
You are?
yeah. I don't know if the blonde hair didn't let you know. Um, and I have a good amount of trans friends, and I really appreciated that the author herself was trans. So I
Mhm.
know that these stories are authentic to them, but it just felt I had trouble with some of the characters with like fully identifying with where they were going. And I don't know if it was because I never struggled in my life. Hi, mom.
Hi,
Uh,
mom.
I don't know if it's because I didn't have like the same struggles, so I was having trouble identifying with all the characters. Because I was thinking about it. There's a scene in the book where Ames, this is when he was James, um, makes it into a store where they sell um, clothes that are specific for trans women, essentially.
Mhm.
And I was thinking like when I oh the cat is sprinting around the living room.
Big
Um,
zoomies.
I was trying to think of like when I've like went and got women's clothing and went and like purchased stuff for my drag. Have I ever had that feeling where I was like excited and like was like, wow, I feel like I'm fulfilling part of myself. I was like, no. I mean, I like it. I like dressing in drag. I think it's fun, but it's
Mhm.
more of like a costume than it actually is a life thing.
Yeah.
That's probably because I'm not trans. But like I'm I could I would self-identify as maybe non-binary, but not like I'm a millennial, so like I don't really know, you know?
Yeah. I that specific chapter is probably my favorite chapter of the entire book.
Oh, it was
Um,
good. So
I
good.
wrote at the end that I was like, this chapter made me feel for and love Amy more. I feel like these flashbacks are very good for understanding gender and identity, why trans women feel the need to hide themselves or not fully be themselves is kind of what I wrote in my book. Mom's shouting out all my friends now. Um, that I just like, it was a lot. I wanted to like cry through a lot of it because it was just like Amy or James or going to like these like this store and like there was a part where he was talking about I think his name was Patrick and like Patrick having like his past life or whatever or like his former life with like his wife and his kids
Mhm.
and now he's doing this and then it was like there was a whole thing about like sex and like them and like using other people's bodies and not using it for the pleasure of being with that person, but it's just like you're using someone's body.
As like part of your fantasy of what you would want to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's so crazy. I guess I like my relationship with sex is different than that, like fully. I don't think I've ever been like, let me switch the roles and like I don't know, I'm not that cerebral.
Yeah.
I'm in my head a lot, but like not cerebral like that. Um
Let's see
what
what.
were there things that you like as a cis woman like identified with at all through the story?
Um, let me like go through my notes and look. I don't know. I don't think there was anything like I hard identified. I feel like there was a topic in the towards the beginning when Katrina is talking to Ames about her divorce, and she's like, I found this particular thing on my on past boyfriends' computers or whatever, and she was like, I don't know if they were fetishizing me because I'm biracial and Asian. But I felt like that topic of like being fetishized for who you are is like really made me think, because like for me, I feel like I would get fetishized for being plus size. And that makes me uncomfortable.
And it's like that's a true angle because the part of the gay spectrum that I fall into is similar. It's a bigger guy with hair, and that's what some people are into, and
Mm-hmm.
it gets fetishized like that. So I definitely identify with that as well. It's just it's so curious to me, the like thought process that we see these characters going through and how closely it relates to like how we would identify.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of, am I being fetishized or is this person just into me?
Yeah.
And like, where does that line sit? Because I don't know.
Yeah. Because that's like, you would think that would be a hard line, but at the same time, it's not, it could also not be a hard like line.
And realistically, if someone's willing to like put in the work of a relationship with you, is it fetishizing? If it started that way and then ended with a relationship, is it still fetishizing someone? I don't know.
I don't know.
I kind of don't think so, but it's not my story.
Yeah. I don't think that there was anything else like as me that I would say that I like really identified with. Was there anything that you felt like you identified with?
I Anytime I read LGBT books, it takes me to places that I was when I was single, and I was like in the in between coming out to some friends in high school, not knowing if I can come out to my family, unsure of like where I rely on like the, what is it, the Kinsey scale, the 1 to 7.
Oh
Are you
yeah.
purely hetero attracted, or are you purely homo attractive? That's now like debunked and it's not really used anymore.
Hmm.
So really just like the general struggle of being LGBT identified with. Um and I really felt for both of the, so there's 3 women, of course. I did not feel sympathy for the cis woman at all,
Yeah.
ever in the story. And I think I'm supposed to. But
Yeah.
so the cis, I don't know if this is kind of a spoiler, I guess, but she gets pregnant by one of the trans women. And she doesn't know that Ames was trans at one point and has detransitioned. And Ames made an assumption that she was sterilized, so they were having unprotected sex, and she gets pregnant. And then there's like a whole identity crisis thing that happens, and she freaks out, and it's a whole big whatever. And I think I'm supposed to feel bad for her, but I guess like when you have sex with someone, you're like acknowledging that you're like, taking everything of them, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
And I think it would be different if this book was set in the 80s with like the AIDS crisis, and with, people not really knowing about protection and not really knowing about the virus. But there was a whole part about an HIV scare, and she was worried about her status.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is 2022. I don't know when this was made actually, but it's recent.
Yeah. I think it came out last year. Yeah.
Most people, and I would assume a younger, she's a millennial. I don't remember her age.
I
She's in
think
her
she was
30s.
She was in her late 30s because she was talking about geriatric pregnancy.
So she would be born in the 80s, probably, but lives in New York, one of the most progressive LGBT friendly cities. It's in New York, right? Or am I making
Yeah.
that up?
It's in New York.
And I was just like, this woman knows that she can't get HIV like that. And there is a character that does have HIV and they're undetectable. And they mention PrEP, which I love that they're talking about PrEP. But I was like, I really don't feel bad for this chick that she thinks she's going to get HIV for having sex with someone, because if this was a straight man, which she thought it was, she wasn't worried about HIV.
Yeah.
And fun fact, Harris County has one of the highest HIV rates in the nation, and the majority of them are not gay people.
I had no idea.
Gay people are a sliver of the percentage. Most of it are minorities, straight people, straight minorities.
Wow.
So if we're worried about HIV, baby, you need to be worried about the men you're having sex with. It's not the trans people.
Mm-hmm.
There is a large portion of the trans community, because of, and it's talked about in the book a little bit, have to may end up having to rely on sex work to make money. So yeah, there's an increased chance that you'll get HIV if you're doing sex work, because you may have clients that won't use a condom, or have clients that aren't honest about their status, or you forgot to take your PrEP and something happened. I don't know. But that made me not like her, and it made me not feel bad for her. So I was like, your struggle is not a struggle that I care about.
That's how I felt in the beginning. There was a part like when Ames did tell her and she started like having her crisis. Like I get it, like if I don't really know when that would be a topic of conversation that you would bring up, like before or after you started sleeping with someone. I don't really know. I feel like that is up to the person. But when she started like telling people, I was like, that's
You're a
not
bitch.
your thing. So
Oh,
like
I probably shouldn't.
at
You're a
that,
jerk.
yeah, that's the point where I was like, what? Like, why do I care?
You know, I know. Oh my God, it's raining. Period. I was just thinking it was gonna rain already. What a good day. My yard is so yellow right now because of the drought.
Except for the
Um, except for the spot with the cat. Check out the podcast if you're curious about the story. Um, yeah, in my head, if I transitioned and I became a woman, and then detransitioned, and then started having sex with women, and like started my life as a straight man, I probably wouldn't ever tell my partner I was trans
Mm-hmm.
unless I wanted them to know.
Yeah.
Because every relationship has secrets, and it's not everybody has secrets. And as long as it's not something detrimental to your relationship, uh, there's nothing wrong with keeping them, at least in my opinion.
But I think this is a spoiler. So just a second for people who want to read this book. There's a part towards the end where Ames is like, I can't promise you I'm going to be a father for this baby. So I think that's where, at least for the situation, that it's, I guess, justified that Ames mentioned it to Katrina, because it's not like I'm staying a man forever. It's like, I don't know.
Oh
I
yeah, definitely.
I might not always be a father for this baby, but I can definitely be a parent.
It's pretty wild, because I don't know. I've never been in a relationship with a trans person, but I've been attracted to trans men before, and I would be open if I was single again and a trans man hit on me and we hit it off. I would be tempted to, if everything lined up right, have a relationship with them, and if it felt right, then we decided we wanted to have kids, maybe we would pursue that. But
Gender is so wacky.
hella wacky. My gosh, it's thunder. I'm gonna go take a good nap after this. How exciting.
How exciting. So there was a quote, I have it open in my book right now, that I really like. It really made me upset. And I think that you could probably have something more, I guess, profound to say about it than I would. But the quote says, if you're a trans girl who knows many other trans girls, you go to church a lot because church is where they hold the funerals. What no one wants to admit about funerals is that funerals for dead trans girls number among the most notable social events of a season.
So my relationship with the trans community isn't as deep as that to identify with that quote per se,
Yeah.
but I think of so at the start of this softball season, I didn't make it to opening ceremonies, but I know that they had a moment where they recognized all the people that had um, passed that used to be in the softball league because I'm part of a gay softball league, and talking about people that died in the 80s during the AIDS crisis, and the amount of older guys that you talk to now that knew people that
Mm-hmm.
died, and not just one or two people, but like large amounts of people. Um, it's crazy because there was something killing people and no one was talking about it.
Yeah.
The president wasn't saying it on the TV. There was no acknowledgement. It was just a gay disease. Do you remember that day I had a bad day and I was like, this is really bothering me, and I sent you the story about the guy that got beat up?
Yeah.
What is his name? I know you
Um,
remember it.
his last name's Broussard.
Broussard. If you want to
Um,
hear his really sad story, um, Google like Houston Broussard murder. Um, it's this dude. He's in Montrose, the gay mecca in Houston.
Paul. Paul.
And excuse me,
Paul. His first name is Paul.
Paul Broussard. He's in Houston. He's in Montrose. He's like kikiing with his friends, and then out of nowhere, this like truck decides that they're gonna beat his ass, and so they pull over and they beat his ass and they kill him. Well, they beat him up so bad that he's like struggling, and the police are called and they decide to wait to go help them because they're scared of AIDS and HIV. So this man is like actively dying on the sidewalk waiting to be helped. And police are waiting to go help this man because they're scared of a virus. And because of the wait, he ends up dying after
Mm-hmm.
being brutally beaten in the streets. And I know more than one older gay person who lost their partner because of HIV or AIDS. More than one. Um, I have one guy that comes to mind who's lost two different partners, one to HIV and one to cancer. But still, it's it's crazy, girl.
He's crazy, girl.
Crazy, girl.
Okay, so we've talked about, let's switch. We've talked about how we don't like Katrina. Fuck that
Yeah.
bitch. Like, don't like her.
Period.
Who in the small other amount of cast do we identify as our favorite? Or tier rank them if you prefer.
Okay. So if I take like the characters I remember, because I finished this book over a week ago,
Yeah, over a week ago.
and so my brain's already started dumping. Um, I really liked Ames. I
Mhm.
thought Ames was the most redeemable character and the most like me that I could see in the cast because he's trying to find himself. He wants to be successful. He wants to do good for everybody, but he's unsure of what's the right path. Um, I really like some of the like exterior characters around Reese.
Mhm.
Her like trans community around her, because you only see like parts of their lives and you don't really get to dive into why they're a bad person. But get to hear like the kind of funny parts of it and the kind of like, oh, she's got a friend that is getting railed in the next room. Ha ha, ha, so funny.
Yeah.
But it's like that's life, you know? Sometimes you have roommates that have sex and it's annoying. Then it's probably Reese. But the issue I had with Reese is, golly, how many problems can you have? Like, pick a struggle. That's always like, I work at a high school. That's what I tell the kids when they like have a laundry list of stuff happening. I'm like, you got to pick a struggle because you can't. I understand life is a lot and you might have a lot of things going on, but you need to like hit them one at a time. If you're catastrophizing because you have 10 things going on, you're never going to get any of those 10 things done. So pick one and work on it. Reese, the whole book is like, she's got multiple dudes, she's got multiple problems, she doesn't know what she wants, she doesn't. Babes, what do you fix something? Pick one thing, fix it right now. Because that people like that stress me out.
Yeah.
I know people like her. I've met people like her. But the whole time I was like, if I was your friend, I would stop being your friend because you are annoying. Then finally Katrina, because she
It's the worst.
was just neutral. She was like a neutral character almost for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Because you,
much rather deal with a villain or a hero than deal with like the guy who sells cabbages on a cart.
I feel like Katrina just didn't contribute other than like part of the panic of
Yeah.
like, there's a baby, what do we do? Like there was no like anything about it. I agree with everything you said. I think almost every time I wrote a comment in the book, it was always like, I hope the chapter talks about Ames more. I hope we learn more about Amy. Da, 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 da. Like I liked Reese's journey through the book, but she could get annoying from time to time. But I really felt like Ames was like when it was talking about Ames, that was where I was the most intrigued. And I think like we got more of Amy when it was the flashbacks because I feel like Ames was there, but when Ames was in the present, it was like him dealing with Reese or him dealing with Katrina, trying to make them like friends. But then when it was Amy, it felt like we're learning about Amy and Amy being a baby trans and Amy
Like
um
honestly, I would have liked a book just from Amy's perspective
yeah.
because the chapters kind of rotated like who they were talking about. But like Katrina's and Reese's chapter gave me like drama and stuff, but like it didn't make her a more redeemable character.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because I'm not trans that she wasn't redeemable for me, and maybe this is a issue that I'm blind about. But Reese, I'm not Reese, Amy and Ames and James, their whole progression was interesting, and they're a good character and they're a good person. I liked it.
Yeah. Um I circled, so in the back of the book there's the book club guide and I circled number 5, but now that I'm like rereading it, I don't know if I like that question. So the second question of number 5 is, do you believe Ames is still a woman even after detransition? And I feel like that is too hard of a question because I feel like the comments were talking like gender's wacky. Like it doesn't, I feel like
Hmm.
that's too hard of a question that's like a straight person question to ask.
Yeah, because it's not what is becoming a woman. Another story. So on TikTok, there's this. I have two TikTok stories. I get all of my information from TikTok because I have no life. And there's this one girl who gets on there and she talks about like history and trans identity and stuff. I wish I knew her name. I couldn't pull it up. I'd have to dig. And in the 80s, they decided they were going to genetically test people that were competing in the Olympics
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that there were women. There was only women. Prior to that, they were doing manual digital testing. So they were like putting a finger inside of someone to make sure they're a woman, essentially. Then they decided that they were going to do genetic testing. And then out of all the women that were participating, they had I think 9 or 10 of them that did not have they were not XX chromosome, but had lived their whole life as a woman, were competing as women, were like presented as women, had no idea that they were not XX chromosome.
Mhm.
And the Olympic Committee decided to do away with genetic testing because they did not have a reliable way to say yes or no if someone was a woman or not. And I think if we're just the straight perspective of are they a man or a woman? Well, it's not like that. They're just a person. And it doesn't even matter what their chromosomes say because they may or may not be presenting as what their chromosomes say.
Yeah.
Um,
They also could
it,
have extra or not enough.
yeah. Um, there's another TikTok uh, person that I follow. Her name's I don't know what her name is, but she goes by Tranma,
Okay.
and she's an older trans woman. She kind of talks about what it was like transitioning back in the day, and how if you weren't passable, you weren't able to get jobs. You would be fired from jobs if they found out you weren't a woman. Um, having to do like back alley injections to get your shape and silicone and stuff, and how women were getting concrete injected into them. Um, People were dying, and it's really interesting to see her channel. So if you get a chance, just look up Tranma on TikTok. Yeah,
Mm.
Ruby. Period. Fire it up, girl. I don't. There was also speaking on fired up on Twitter. Um, right, digital testing. That's so weird. Could you imagine being the best athlete in the world in something, showing up to the Olympics and then being like, "So we need you to get up and put your feet in these stirrups really quick, so we can make sure that you're actually you're the gender that you think you should be. We think you should be." Excuse me?
You're like,
Excuse me?
move over. I'm trying to run my 20 meters. Thanks.
Literally running 20 meters?
Shh.
Um,
Let me live my life.
frick. Oh, it was a recently they got rid of Roe v. Wade. It's brand new news, right?
Great.
And there was a trans man on there who was like, "I'm gay, so I have sex with men. So when I end up pregnant, are you going to be happy seeing me walk around with my baby bump as identifying as a man? 'Cause now I can't get rid of this baby that I don't want." So are we really worried about like are we worried about conservativeship? Are we worried about like what's the tea on this? Because now you're
Mhm.
making it where men are getting pregnant. And now
Yeah.
your poor children who are so confused about gender neutral bathrooms are going to be even more confused.
Well, that's the thing. Like in the book, they were talking about that with the gender neutral bathrooms. They like made one, and then the HR lady or whatever came to Katrina and was like, "Hey, we don't have one on this floor, but like he worked. She no, the girl said she works under you, and
Hmm.
do we need one up here?" And Katrina was like, "What are you talking about?"
Because they thought that Ames was a biological woman who had transitioned into being a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So they were trying to make the whole company more comfortable by putting one gender neutral bathroom in the whole building.
And not even on the floor in which Ames works.
But it, guys, it's pee and poop. Like it's pee and
Like
poop. It's just pee and poop. Just go. Just do what you need to do.
I've been in many a gender neutral bathroom, like the one at Buddy's. Literally, Aaron and I were in the stall next to each other. Aaron and I washed our hands together. It does not matter.
It if you are so the issue comes down to it's not trans people that are raping kids. Period. It's not. It's men of power,
Mm-hmm.
and it's usually people they know. So if you're so scared about your kid getting messed up, you need to look around at who's in your family. And you need to look at who's at your church. And you need to look at who's taking care of your kids, who's their uncle, cousin, friend. Because it's not trans people. Trans people aren't worried about having sex with children. Trans people are worried about their gender identity and worried about getting rid of body dysmorphia and like wanting to stay alive instead of kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because LGBT kids are way more likely to commit suicide than straight kids.
Yeah.
Very silly.
Very silly.
Bad silly.
Bad silly. I'm trying to think. What else? What other quotes?
Kayla's like, what other things can I stir Brandon up with?
um there was a part in the beginning. I hope I'm positive it was this book because I was reading this at the beach with Ruby and I remember mentioning it. And this is so dumb. This is not like gonna fire anybody up, but I just thought it was silly. They're talking about the guy who played Zach Morris in Saved by the Bell, and somebody goes, "That's a deep cut," and I went, "Where?"
I mean, it is.
No, it's not. Everyone should know
Saved by
that.
the Bell is really old, Kayla.
No. Brandon actually is going to join Shelf This because he is reading Dead Silence.
I am. I'm struggling to get through it as well. Not because it's bad, but for me to have to be like, okay, you're gonna read for an hour, go. It's so hard.
It's so hard. Brandon,
Thankfully,
the fans want you in the book club.
Ooh, we'll see.
Well, if you want to read the girl with the dragon tattoo, that's next month.
I started it a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Period.
End of the sentence. Shit. What were you just talking about? What did you say?
Deep cut.
Oh, deep cut. He's biracial?
What?
That's what they said in the book.
Did they really say that?
Yeah.
Hold on. I gotta look this up. Mark. Oh, his mom is Indonesian.
Period.
Wow.
Bro,
Okay.
he was so hot back in the day. But now I look back and I'm like, he was never hot. I was just a child.
A child. Okay. So what did you feel about the ending?
I was like, where's the next chapter?
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
I was like, that's it? Because I looked at the page number and I was like, this is the last page. It can't be.
And I get like it's kind of like those movies that have really open endings, so you can kind of be like, what's gonna happen next? But I want to know. We didn't get any resolution. There was no resolution to the story. It just was a story.
Yeah. Do you think that the book would have been better or ended properly if there was a hard decision on the baby? Or
I think so. There's two sides to this coin, and I see both sides, right? So the ending that we got is the most realistic ending.
mm-hmm.
Like life doesn't just like clean cut, ribbon tied, all of that. LOL. But yeah, life is not tied up in a bow, perfect. So you're not going to get a normal YA book ending where they're kissing in the sunset and the book's over, whatever. But this is fiction, and I'm a child, so I would have loved for something to happen. And I can't really. There's an ending in my head that I would have enjoyed, morbid, but I would have enjoyed for Katrina to die. And not like, but just like, didn't they have to deal with like the it's more tied, I guess, because you're like, okay, the decision was made and it wasn't made by anybody.
Hmm.
Whereas this ending is like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. Because I feel like at some point it really turned into, it tried not to, but how I felt when I was reading, it turned into Ames just trying to figure out them. So they cared about the baby, but didn't really. And then Katrina was just there. So it all turned into, what does Reese want? And I don't know if I liked that because we're trying to figure out all three people. That I'm like, why is this just about what Reese wants?
Because Reese is the least a part of it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It was a silly book. Still, you're making me want to rate it 3 stars, but it was 4 stars.
That's how book club. That's happened to me before. We've been in book club, and I'm like, I'm changing this. Actually, one time we were in book club, we were talking, and I wanted to rate the book higher.
Oh, burr.
What did you feel? Very minor character, but in the beginning, how did you feel about the beginning cowboy?
Because that's the one that comes back later in the book, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, is mom still here?
Just hopefully not. She probably said hi and then left. I don't know. Mom, are you here?
I feel like she's probably still here, but I don't know if she's actually like
Paying attention.
listening. So, like, every young queer person has that person in their life, like someone they should not be sleeping with, that is almost like a situationship that you're just like, it's kind of fun. I'll keep them around. They get me where I need to go. They're maybe toxic, but like, I know this isn't forever. I might play like it's forever, but I know inside of myself this isn't forever. So I don't like the character,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a real life character that a lot of queer people know.
Yeah.
Um, he just like a toxic dude who like is in a loveless marriage and is hooking up with a trans girl, but is like really misogynistic towards her. But like, I think it's like part of like a control thing. I don't know. But I thought he was a good character because he was a real life. That was a real character.
Yeah. I think that was something else they explored a little bit in the book is the the whole idea of like a straight man. And I think they were talking about it when they were talking about like the dating like websites for trans people and how a lot of them are straight men looking for trans women, but they're married.
There's a lot of straight men out there who are not straight
Mm-hmm.
that that do it because they think they're supposed to, and then they get into these marriages where they're not getting everything that they need. And the easiest first start is a trans woman because they appear as a woman, they may act as a woman, they may sound as a woman, they may look as a woman, but you get a little bit extra sometimes. And that may be their transition point into being gay. That may be where they start and end. That may be what they really want. Maybe they really just want someone with a penis to penetrate them. Like there's like layers to it. And it's not fair to trans women that that's what the transition point is for a lot of like straight men.
Mm-hmm.
But straight men really got to figure themselves out and stop worrying about what their parents care about because your parents are going to die one day and you're going to have a bunch of kids that you have to take care of and you don't even like them.
Oh.
I have like, I can think of maybe 4, 5, a handful of gay men who started out in straight relationships, now have kids, and now are dating men.
Off the top of my head, I can think of two, but I'm sure like there are more.
And it's unfortunate because like you you started this without malintent. Like you weren't trying to hurt this woman's life, but you probably fucked her up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad that you did all of this because you were trying to probably make your parents happy. And like a strong number of people don't even talk to their parents anymore.
Yeah. Except for us.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Okay. What else? Is there anything else about the book you want
What
to
was
talk
your opinion on Cowboy?
Oh, sorry. In a real life situation, I would be like, Reese, what are you doing? I'm gonna get mad at you as your friend. Don't do this. But reading it in a fictional thing, I was like, I love this. This is so silly. Like this drama. Get the drama. Um,
You're toxic.
but in my books, I want toxicity in my books. But I guess because of how much I stretched reading this book, like how long it took me, it only took me like a week and a half, but still.
That's really long for you.
Yeah, very long for me. I forgot about him for a second, and so when he comes back later, I had to be like, wait a minute, what?
Who
And
is
then
this man?
it started like coming together, and then it ended exactly the way I thought it would be. Like that is, I feel like textbook where it's like I'm hanging out with this dude, it's really bad, blah, blah, whatever, and then later you're like you somehow meet their wife, and then they're like they start being rude to you, like they will text and call you and be like, I'm acting like this has happened to me, it has not, but like then they'll start being like
Textbook, honestly.
yeah, a textbook, I know, right? I read a lot of books, watch a lot of TV, that's how I know. But yeah,
Listen, the amount of straight men that I hooked up with that were married while I hooked up with them, it happens. And it happens often.
you gotta go.
When it's good, it's good. I can't help it.
Period. I hope Mom is here. She's gonna call you in a minute and be like, what?
Get off the internet. You're grounded.
Like, Mom, I'm 30 years old. What else? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Book or non-book related?
The doctor that was like, I like trans patients. I'll give you what you need. I was like, you crazy, dude. I thought that was really silly. Because that's how one of our friends gets all of his medicine. He goes to a little pill factory like that. I think that's probably it. I'll probably think of stuff later. I didn't like the time skips back and forth. It would just confuse me. No, I need a book to be linear. I like everything in my life linear. My brain's much too small to do this back and forth. The only book I've ever liked, golly, what is it called?
The Glass Hotel.
No. It's like a book you'd read in like your first literature class in college. There's multiple characters. It's like set maybe in like the
You really liked As I Lay Dying. Is it that?
As I Lay Dying. Ah, you got it. That's the only book I've ever really liked that had like multiple perspectives. Period.
I'm so smart. It's because I have your copy somewhere, either at Mom's house or this house, that I have had to read because you liked it.
And it was good, right?
I haven't read it.
Okay, well, guys, this podcast is over. This not podcast. This live is over because my sister's fake and won't read the books I ask her to read.
No, you never asked me to read it. I just haven't because I wanted to read it.
Thanks, Ashlyn. You should read it.
Yeah, you should read it, Ashlyn. It's really good. So you promoted at the beginning, but now more people are here. So if you want to promote again.
Okay. Hey everyone, yep. My name's Brandon. I am. Why did you make a weird face?
I didn't mean to.
Okay, so my name's Brandon. I host a podcast called the Parish Parent Posse. It's me and my friend Sydney. We both have dead parents, so that's like a thing. That's why it's a parish parent posse. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts. Kayla is one of our guests that we had one week. Now she helps with our social media. Um, we're up and coming. We're an up and coming legend. So come and be a part of our little journey.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. This week we have one of me and Kayla's friends was a guest. His name's Cheyenne. He's in New York. She's a cool girl. Period.
She is the icon. She is the moment.
She is the moment. She's the legend. But yeah, that's all I have to hype up.
Yeah. Well.
Period.
Well, thank you for being here, Brandon. I think we had a good time. I think we really got into this. I was like, this is only going to be like 15 minutes. But we're pushing an hour. So
Kayla, I have a podcast. This is what I do.
know.
I have to stretch it forever.
I know, and I love that, and I appreciate that, and I need you to teach me because I'm bad at it.
Have you done lives that were only 15 minutes?
No, but I've done lives that were 30.
Oh, yeah, 30's fine.
Yeah.
Because your friends are so nice if they stayed the whole time. No one is going to sit on YouTube and watch a live this long most of the time. It's true. They'll watch a video. It's hard to sit for 30 minutes and watch a live unless you're like, I am going to sit and watch this.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know YouTube did lives other than the little girl riding with lo-fi in the background.
Well, here we are. Brandon, if you ever want to join any live for anything that we're in, I'm sure people will let you in. My friends will let you in just to talk. Even if we're reading or discussing a different book that you didn't read, I'm sure you'll get invited.
Period.
But
I can pretend I read it.
I feel like you're good at that.
I have a lot of opinions about a lot of things.
Somebody just has to make an opinion that's in the book, and then you will come up with your opinion about the subject.
The counterpoint.
Yep. Boom. Okay. But that's it. That's all we have. So, bye, guys. We'll see y'all sometime soon.